So basically it goes through what is Haiku Deck. So what is Haiku Deck? It's a presentation tool. So it's web-based. Even if it's on an app, you still have to have an internet access in order to grab the cloud content. And as I mentioned, there's two flavors, I guess, your Apple and your Windows. Why use it? Well, basically, in short, it's free. Bonus. It's easy to use, and it's very quick to make a professional-looking product. And what I like, especially when we're talking about students, is there's kind of scaffolding already built into the structure of this app where, as far as presentation best practices go, so when you think of like the stereotypical bad PowerPoint presentation, everything the speaker's saying is put into text, and that text is on screen, and you might even have a reader's hard copy note of what is on the screen in front of you. Haiku Deck doesn't really let you do that. It comes with a very minimalist sort of interface, and with a certain set number of features or tools that you can use. So you can't necessarily be playing around with all the color fonts and worrying about transitions and trying to understand the numerous types of features that you might have access to. So there's not a whole bunch of icons on it. If anyone's used Weebly for website design, this is kind of like the Weebly that for creating presentations. It's very much all within one screen. There's no flipping back and forth between numerous tabs. It's all kept in one interface. So that is the main idea why I like using it, is because it focuses people on best practice. It uses beautiful imagery and minimal text for you to be able to convey the content, which again, that's the most important part. We don't want to have to spend a lot of time teaching students how to use the tool. We want them to get right into the production so that they can then demonstrate their knowledge. And the same for us. If we're trying to create a product to encourage and motivate students, we want to be able to do it quickly as well. So who can use it? Anyone. I would think even an assisted, you could look at students even in the third grade, second grade using this application if they're guided through it with maybe an older student. When can I use it? You can use it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Where can I use it? If you have a tablet device, if you have a laptop, you can pick up Wi-Fi, then you're good to go. And how could I use it? And that one's a more difficult thing to answer, just because it's limited pretty much by your imagination. Obviously, presentations, teacher presentations, student presentations, it could be a lesson starter to get people hooked into a new theme that you're starting in the curriculum. Student-led projects, they could be used to make web slideshows. They can be exported and mashed into other apps. I've used Haiku Deck and have exported it and brought it into iMovie or Windows Movie Maker to add music and voiceovers as well. And there are some limitations, not many, because it's not a tool meant to be, it's not trying to be a PowerPoint. It's not trying to do everything. It's trying to do a very few things extremely well. So audio, video aren't options here. The web version, I say, is limited compared to the iPad app, but it's still very usable. I was using it today for the first time, and it took me no more time to learn than when I first tried out the iPad app. And when you see when we start getting into making one, you'll see that really the features, they're saying they're coming soon. So eventually the web-based one will be just as full-featured as the Apple version. You can't back up in its native content, so there is no Haiku Deck format to end up saving. You can export and you can social share. To the best of my knowledge, it's not offered in any other language than English. And to me, one of the bigger limitations is there's no commenting system like you would see in a blog post where people can post their comments and you can get into sort of a conversation. I guess you'd think it would be like an asynchronous conversation. So that is one of the bigger drawbacks. But really, in the big scheme of things, there's ways to get around that. I'm not going to have time for it now, but what I did do is to kind of educate myself. I'm currently doing my master's in educational technology, and I've talked to Waylon about one of my finds this year has been Bates and Poole, no relation, in 2003 came up with what's called the sections model for evaluating educational technologies. And what I did today is I took the document that UBC had made. Basically, it's like a rubric checklist version of their article, and I applied that to this app and basically came up with a little report. So if you want to read that and see some of the more detailed features and critiques of Haiku Deck, there you go. I've also included the original pool document, the sections checklist from UVC, and then I've already bookmarked for you a bunch of the Haiku social media and their support and the iPad link as well. So that's for later. Okay, so what is a Haiku Deck? Let's take a look. We're going to just pop down. I think actually, if you don't mind, I'll show you what an example. This is a Haiku Deck made by one of the Haiku Deck founders, and it's called the Haiku Deck Way. So this one is an example of you can house a Haiku Deck presentation on their website. Think of it as like being like a Prezi or YouTube or Vimeo. You can host it there, but you also have the ability to embed. So I've embedded a Haiku Deck made by someone else into my blog, and it's fully functioning there. So what I can do is just maneuver the buttons down here to move through the slides. And so why we're here, presentations should be captivating. Too often they're not. Our guiding principles: simplicity, beauty, fun. Simple, beautiful, fun, and then there's 10 tips to better presentations. And this is a great Haiku Deck to show students already made. Why reinvent the wheel? Build around one big idea. Stick to 3 key points. 1 idea per slide. Not too many words. Use pictures to tell stories. Let the story inspire the look. Keep formatting consistent. Focus on the story. Find your creative flow. Connect with your audience. And now they say, now it's your turn, and then there's some stats about how many users and things like that they have. One of the things that I'll bring to your attention here is the 36 million plus beautiful high quality photos. One of the neat things about Haiku Deck, and I'm just going to minimize the screen so I can start looking at the product, is there's no real worry here. Like, one of the worries obviously we have is copyright. That's usually a thing that kind of rears its head once in a while, especially with students. And the idea of when you start, especially when you start social sharing things, it's outside of the classroom. And with Haiku Deck, those 36 million images, those are Creative Commons images. A lot of them come from Flickr's Creative Commons library, and when they're added to the slide, which I'll show you in a moment, they're already credited to the author. And so right away, you know that all the images that are being used in the presentation are free of that copyright hinderment. So let's take a look. So what I've done is I've gone to haikudeck.com, and I've already logged in. So up in this upper right-hand corner, you'd see a sign up or log in. And when you do that, you can either log in through your account, through Twitter, or through your Facebook account. So it's social login. If you want to get if you want to, like, when you click here, this is going to get us started with their web app, and then there's the link for the iPad app on iTunes. So I'm going to click on my name here and go My Decks. So far, it's very, very similar. If any of you have used ThingLink, that's one of my, if I had my top 3 right now, Haiku Deck and ThingLink and TouchCast. Those are all Apple-based iPad apps, but that's kind of my top 3 right now that I'm interested in. So they all have similar navigation structures. So Haiku Deck. So you can see featured decks. So those are ones that Haiku, the people there have curated. popular ones just based on number of views, and then my deck. So these are ones that I've made before for various reasons. This is one I was lucky enough to get featured in Haiku deck. That's why it has quite a few more views than some of my other non-featured ones. So what I want to do is say create a new deck. So if we have time, I'll go into some of these to show you how easy it is to edit something you've already created. But I'm just going to go create a new deck. I know I'm talking like really fast. I was always worried that I'm not going to get everything fit in, which I know kind of defeats the purpose. But basically, so once I click that, I click to create a deck. Now I'm into the web app interface. So again, I'm using Chrome right now. As long as I tried using it today with an older version of Internet Explorer, and it didn't like that too much. So I would either go with a newer version of Chrome or a newer version of Internet Explorer. I haven't tested it on Safari or Opera. Safari kind of doesn't make sense because they already have the app. And the app's free as well. Okay, so we're right into our presentation. And I'm going to start by clicking. Okay, so we have, I call this area the sidebar, this part here, the stage, that's the current slide I'm working on. And I'm going to call this the slide slider, which I guess is kind of overkill. But so all my slides, just like PowerPoint, they're all going to line up in sequential order down here. And I can add another slide by clicking there. So I'm going to click to edit, and I'm going to put here, welcome. And then I'm going to, whoops, and I'm going to click down here, New Brunswick teachers. Okay, so I've added some text. I'm going to pick a theme. Now a theme, this is where it's a little more limited. You have access to more themes on the iPad app, but these ones are not a bad setup. I do use this 575 one quite a bit, but today I tried the cinematic theme. So basically, it's just a compilation of different heading styles that augment the text size and the font and some of the layout. So now I go over to select slide type, and as you can see, I have like a heading and a subheading slide, a bullet one, and an ordered list as well. So an unordered list and an ordered list. I've basically never used those two. I always just use this one. So I have my text. Now I have my format. Now when I click, there's 4 icons here. These are the 4 icons you get to play with. So when I said simplicity, I meant it. So pictures, I'm going to click on a picture. Neat thing, what it does is any text you put here, it automatically searches and looks for images that are based on that. So I could click here and go New Brunswick teachers. I'd be interested to see what they have for images. So the little wheels going around, it's trying to search for some images to deal with New Brunswick teachers. Hopefully that doesn't cause it to crash. Maybe what I'll do is I'll back up and I'll go New Brunswick, because I did try this earlier and it did work. So search. Yeah. I'm going to go back for a second. Let's try teachers. Okay, there it goes. It's populated something, I was getting worried there, with a bunch of things being pulled from Flickr about teachers. One there was quite questionable. But let's take, okay, say if we were a group of teachers. So I'll pick this one, Teacher of the Year Awards. Pick that. It's automatically put, that's, what's his name, Booker, it's from the US. So this image is being put in the background, and as it's being uploaded, the quality of this image will become much better. On the iPad app, you can actually, with your fingers, crop and magnify, zoom in and out of pictures, but you can't on the Windows app. So I like that slide. I'm going to look at my layout options. Say if I wanted to have some text at the top and bottom, I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. Okay, so you can quickly see how I can move text around, because each slide I want to put the text in slightly different places so that I have people tracking their eyes. And then I have the ability to put some notes. So if you have speaker's notes that you want to go with your presentation for the people online to see, because you're obviously not there to present, you can copy and paste them right into this section. new slide. So I've added a new slide. I'm going to put, I'm just going to put the word demo here. Demo. And I'll put St. John and B, just again to kind of show you what happens when you click on image, and it's going to try to find images here of St. John, New Brunswick, which hopefully it will this time. And then they'll load up. So again, creating text slides. Up here, we have two other tabs where you can actually go, and this is coming soon, you can add charts and diagrams in. And you can, if you didn't want pictures in the background, you can actually pick some bold colors to be the background instead of images. But again, I strongly suggest playing around with this, doing your searching and looking for your keywords and typing in your own, not just looking for the keywords. Sometimes you find pictures too that you would never have thought of using. That add a new, it takes your presentation in a different way. I've done that quite a bit. So when I'm done, if I want to see what my whole slideshow looked like, I come up to the upper right corner again and I click view your presentation. It's going to take me into what my presentation looked like. And it adds like a very simple sort of slide movement to the right or left. And if I want to go back and edit my haiku deck, I just go back here and I click edit again. And I can, at any time, I can go through and pick different themes, and it's not going to get rid of my content. It leaves that alone. It just reformats it. I believe they use HTML5 if you want some nerdy language. Go back to my decks. I'm going to leave this page. I didn't save my work yet. I know I only have a couple of minutes left, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but if you had any questions, feel free to throw them out. And this is just another example of a haiku deck that's been made. Oh yeah, you have the ability to set privacy settings. There's private, restricted, and public. So again, you'll notice I didn't add on this first slide any sort of notes, but here you can see where I added in, I actually had an article, and I decided to take the article and see if I could convey it using very few words and obviously imagery, but I want people to see what the original article that I wrote was all about. And again, ability, in that picture I remember quite a bit, ability to the brain to adapt. Some of my fellow mentors know that a couple of years ago I had a brain tumor removed, and I had an interest in this particular topic when I was doing a report because my tumor was about the size of a golf ball. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this slide, is when I searched for the ability of the brain to adapt, just by randomness, this golf green came up, and it made me think of basically what the size of that tumor had been. And the ability of the brain to adapt is I had that size of a thing removed, and my brain didn't pop back up, but you know what I mean? The ability of your brain to grow around that. So again, an image I would never have thought of using, but I added a different level to my engagement with my own presentation. And again, I love the quality of the images and the colors that you can bring into your presentation. And again, knowing that these are all free for use. And at the end, you can share your deck in various ways. I think I've gone like 2 minutes over, but any questions? I know I kind of threw a lot at you, but also remember that you could contact me if you had some more questions. But honestly, like the learning curve I found with this, very short. It's not a long learning curve at all.